Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Walt from Mouse Talk back with another WDW3 for Thursday. And with this week, we are going to talk about the advantages to staying on Disney property. And this week, I have a special guest helping me with the show.
Hi.
It's Melissa. She's going to help us with this week's show. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we get this coming up a lot, talking about advantages and disadvantages of staying on Disney property, don't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, people ask all the time, why should I stay on property? I think I might be able to get it a little bit cheaper if I stay off property. What's the advantage to staying on property? And I know this is a three for Thursday, and normally we only stick to three, but there are just too many to do, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so this is like a 8 for Thursday.
More like a seven for Thursday, yeah. But there are seven. There are seven advantages that we think off the top of our head are the most important ones to do or to have that make staying on property so important. No particular order. No, none are more important than the other. We may prefer some over others,
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
But they are all important, and they all make benefits to why you stay on Disney property. So let's start out with number one, and we have.
Magical Express.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's complimentary airport transfers. Yeah, basically Disney's going to take you from the airport and they're going to take you to your resort, which is kind of nice. But not only that, they'll also pick up your bags and deliver them right to your room.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for me. Not having, when you get to the park, you can get there, pretty much just go straight to the park and not have to worry about getting your bags, getting them there, getting them to the room, making sure your room's available, not having your luggage or having to check it in. At the hotel. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is. And not only that, when it's time to head home, you can check your bags at the resort, and Magical Express will take both you and your bags back to the airport as well. It's really kind of nice.
It's very nice.
Yeah, we use it all the time. Every single trip we've gone to Disney, we've used Magical Express. We love it. Basically, the benefits not having to worry about getting transportation to and from the airport or having to pay for it as well because it's complimentary.
Exactly.
Yep, it really is nice. Plus the added benefit of not having to worry about your bags.
Yeah.
Just like you said, Melissa, they'll be there. They'll be there at the airport when you get back. So it's really nice.
Yeah, and just to get to your room, everything's in there. Fortunately, we haven't had any mishaps or any problems. We've been very lucky, and just knowing that it's going to be there when you're ready to get back to your room and ready to get settled in and not have to lug them all over the place.
Yep. Now, number two benefit it would be
the Disney dining plan. Now, at this point in time, we're not necessarily the biggest fan of the Disney dining plan, but the only way you can take advantage of this is to stay on Disney property.
Yep.
So it's basically you preparing your meal options so that way you don't have to really think about it. You get depending which one you choose, there are different options or things that you'll get from that. Now, one really great advantage to this is when Disney does offer the free dining. And I think then, of course, it's well worth it. And, of course, you have to be staying on Disney property to get the free dining experience.
Absolutely.
So it definitely has its advantages and disadvantages. We've done vlogs on this as well, and we can probably
we'll
put a link up here about our experience with the Disney dining plan. But if you do use it up sometimes and you use it and use it for things that cost the most.
Yeah, the credits.
It can be very cost effective. It just depends on how much you eat and if you use everything you're given.
Right. This is a great benefit for anyone that's looking for an all-inclusive type vacation with Disney. In that case, and everything's inclusive, this is probably the way to go. It really, really is. The value really comes from knowing that all your really major expenses are paid for ahead of time.
Yes.
So that's the big advantage. And that's one of the things why Melissa always wanted to do it, right?
Yes, we did it very early on, and the first time we didn't do it was our last trip, and we've kind of changed our viewpoint, but I liked knowing that I didn't have to worry, are we going to have enough money saved up to be able to eat and then get maybe a few things to bring home, and if the kids see something they want. I hated having that pressure, and just knowing that we're good just made me not even care if it was really worth the money in the long run.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's when you're going on vacation, you don't want to have to think about those things.
Right, I agree. And that could be a tipping point for somebody. Maybe you would say, I don't mind paying the extra, knowing that I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
So it makes sense. From there, number three would be complimentary transportation to and from the parks. This, to me, is a biggie. I really think this is a big one. Disney is extremely large, and with complimentary transportation to and from the parks, there really is no better way to go. There really isn't. Disney will take you from your resort to the parks and back for free. It's part of it, right?
Yeah, and there are several different options depending on where you're staying. Now, every resort, you're going to have bus access.
Yes.
Every resort will have a bus. Depending where you stay, some of them you'll have boat transportation, some of them you'll have monorail transportation.
They now have the
So-
minivans.
Yep.
But that's a cost.
Yeah, so we don't want to include that into the complimentary, but it is more options. And then, of course, they're going to be coming with the gondola system.
That's right.
So that will be something else that's added on that's coming in the next few years.
Yeah, and it's all part of the perks of staying on Disney property.
Yep.
Not only that, you want to go to another resort? Maybe you want to go to Disney Springs? How about you want to go to one of the water parks? Well, that's all included too. It might be a little bit of a couple extra steps to get to those areas, but they can take you to those areas complimentary as well. It's really, it definitely is a major benefit of staying on property.
And again, peace of mind. If you're just going to be there for a Disney trip, you don't need to rent a car, especially now that they're charging for you to park at your resorts.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about driving your car to the parks to pay for. I guess your parking's free there, but then getting on a transportation device to get to the park, those buses and complimentary, we're going to drop you off closer to the park, so
Yep,
that way
they
you're
are.
going to get in there a lot more quickly than if you're in a parking lot a mile away.
That's true.
Having to jump on that transportation to get you just to stand in line for another,
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes. So for me, that's a big deal.
Yep, great benefit. Now, the number 4 benefit, or number 4 on our list, is first access to FastPass Plus and dining reservations. Another huge advantage to staying on property. Being able to book your FastPass reservation 60 days in advance gives you a huge advantage over everyone else who has to wait until 30 days to book their FastPasses.
Right, especially with some of these e-ticket rides right now. You really need like the Frozen ride and Epcot, of course. Flight of
Flight of
Passage,
Passage, yeah.
and Avatar. These are things you want to have and be able to book like as soon as you have the availability.
Yeah.
Because that way you can make sure that's there and done and not have to worry about it.
That's right. It gives you first dibs on all the really popular rides and significantly increases your chances of getting the fast passes you want. Now, the advantage on the dining side works like this. Now, everyone, whether you're staying on-site or off-site, you can book your advanced dining reservations, or ADRs as they're called, at 180 days out. But those who are staying on property can book for their entire stay, while those off-site can only book for that day,
Right.
day 180. You'd have to go in the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day if you're off-site. You don't have to do that if you're on-site. You can book for your entire trip. It's really a huge, huge advantage. And this is big because many of the popular restaurants like Be Our Guest, California Grill, Cinderella's Royal Table, they're often booked by the 180-day mark.
Right.
And we've seen that. We've had difficulty getting some of these.
And even with having the advantage, we'll have to
Yes.
call, and sometimes you'll have to pick a time that may not be as ideal as you want it to be, but it definitely helps to have that advantage because you can usually, a lot of cases
usually you can get
a
it.
spot maybe a little later than you expected or a little earlier, but you may be able to at least get, the restaurant that you're looking to get.
Yep, I agree. Number 5 on the list is, of course, free magic bands. This is really kind of cool. If you're not on property, they're not free. You have to pay for them. Now, whether you're staying on property or not, if you want a specific type of magic band, some of the special ones,
Right.
yes, you have to pay for those. But your basic magic bands, nope, they're complimentary. Disney sends them to you. And to me, that's a great perk. I think that's a way to save some money.
Yeah. And even if you don't want a special one, they sell ways in the park to customize them and make them the way you like them, things you can put on them and make them pretty. And, for me, it's not always that big of a deal. I'm just like having them. I get excited when they show up in the mail because it means you're
Yeah.
about 30 days out from your
That's
trip.
right. Yep.
Something to look forward to, and you all get to pick the colors you want.
You can add a name. You can add a nickname.
you can
It's
add
really
your
kinda
name on
neat.
the band so you know it's yours. And I just think they're great. I really like the introduction of the magic bands.
Yeah, and of course you can use it as your room key. You can also use it for purchases
Mm-hmm.
as well. But another one of the perks to this is the fact that with your Magic Band, you can have your purchases that you purchase while you're in the parks sent back to your rooms,
Yeah.
to your resorts. You can send it back to your resort so you don't have to lug it around all day. If you're not staying on site, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's another major benefit to staying on site. It really is. So there you go, Magic Bands. Number 5 reason to stay on site. Number 6,
Extra magic hours.
yeah, this one, I can't say we're really this isn't really one of the ones I think is a big one for me. For most people, it is a big one.
Well, I guess that depends. I mean, we took advantage of it, I think, on some of our earlier trips. Now,
Yeah.
maybe we haven't as much.
Right.
But I do like the fact that some of the parks, especially maybe not mornings so much, but the ones that stay open late, because then if
Right.
you finish up at one park, you're like, hey, Magic Kingdom's open in a couple extra hours. If you have park hoppers, you can jot over, spend an hour in the other park, and get the
Right.
most out of your stay.
Well, that's the thing. And for those that don't know, extra magic hours are basically one park. Each day, at least one park will open 1 hour early or stay open late 2 hours after the park closes for just those staying on property. Now, this can be an advantage if you're staying on property. But like Melissa said, to me, the advantage is if you're a park hopper. So if you're at Epcot and but Magic Kingdom has the extra magic hours and you don't have a park hopper, you can't take advantage of that.
Right.
Even if you are staying on property. So that's kind of where I say, to me, this isn't as big of a deal. So, but if you are staying on property and you have a park hopper, okay, I get it then. It makes more sense.
It does. Otherwise, you have to plan your trip around maybe the day that park has extra magic hours.
Then that's the
and
park you have to go
we've
to.
done that too. We've looked at it and say, okay, let's start at this park because this one has extra magic hours, so we can be there an hour earlier and get some of our favorite rides done early, and maybe do them again if you have a fast pass for them later in the day.
Right.
You can do that. Plan which park you're going to go to based on their extra magic hours.
Right.
You know, or like you said, or you even do that, and then if you have a hopper, go to the other park that's open late.
Yeah, to finish the day out.
Finish the day out. So.
Right. But the
But not
only
everybody's crazy like us and likes to spend their entire day in
That's
all
true.
the parks. So
That's true.
everybody's different.
Yep. And the only other thing about extra magic hours that to me was why it wasn't one of my favorites is because usually whatever park has the extra magic hours is the busy park for the day
Yeah.
because everybody knows it. And that's the one they want to go to. But again, I know this is about benefits, but it still is a benefit because if you can get those extra magic hours, as the day goes on, the late hours, the parks really thin out.
They
and
do.
you can get a lot done.
You
A
can.
lot done.
If you're not so exhausted and your legs are like
Right.
rubber.
Right. But even that first hour in the morning, if you're up and you don't mind being there that early, like if it's normally the park opens at 9, but it opens at 8. If you're there at 8 when rope drops, you can get a lot done.
Yeah.
You really can. So there are benefits to extra magic hours. And then lastly, but certainly not least, and this is kind of the big one to me, is location. The biggest benefit of them all is the fact that you'll be staying right where the magic happens. All the Disney resorts are themed incredibly. They are some of them are within walking distance of the parks. They're all close enough that if you want to take a break in the afternoon, you can go back to your room. Then you can go back to the parks later, and you're inside the Disney the bubble.
Yep. And it's just a lot of the parks will have theming, you know, so you're definitely getting that kind of whole Disney experience. The whole
Absolutely.
there's just something about it. I personally, you know, don't really want to stay off property. I mean, I guess if it came down to it, and if someone, you know, if I had the opportunity and someone's like, hey, you want to come down, and I
For
could,
free.
sure. But there's just something about that entire experience. Of course, it's different for us being DVC members, but it's just, I don't know, it makes it much more magical for me.
But it's the whole Disney bubble because you're still getting the same kind of service. You're still getting the theming. You're getting the atmosphere. Everything about it, everything around you is always Disney.
And it takes you out of the everyday. I feel like, you know, if you're staying outside a hotel, you're driving on the regular interstate to get here and do this and do that, and it kind of just brings you back to like your regular life. I like just being, like you said, within that Disney bubble. Takes me away from everything that's mundane and daily and just puts you in your own little just great
Magical
vacation.
world. Yeah, it's true.
And that's what I want. I want to be away from everything that makes me think of what everyday life is. So
And it's an advantage. I think it really does kind of take your mind off everything
It does.
back home,
Yep.
at least for
you're
a
not
while.
driving in traffic so
Exactly.
much. You're not, or because you're on the bus, you can just chit chat with your family and look at your pictures you've taken, look at your app. You don't have to think about it. You're not driving. You can
Yeah.
look at all your plans for the day, go over your fast passes, choose where you want to eat.
Tons of
You
stuff.
know, just not even have to think. Just think about fun stuff.
Yep. So there you go, folks. That's our 3 for Thursday, or 7 for Thursday, I
7
guess.
for Thursday.
But there you go. Advantages to staying on Disney property. And that's it for this week's episode. For those that do, let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear from you guys. What do you think are some of the advantages? What about this list? Is there something on this list you don't agree with? Or is it something that you really agree with and it's your favorite advantage? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Just click that Mouse Talk link in the bottom right-hand corner. That way you'll get notified every time we do bring out a new video. We'd love for you to do that. And then also, if you thought this video was informative or fun and you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. or one thumb. We don't need both. Just one. Just one thumb will do. Just give us a like on that and share the video as well. We'd love for you to do that. And then other than that, folks, we definitely just want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you to our special guest this
Yes,
week.
thanks for letting me join you.
Yes, usually 3 for Thursdays are solo, but not this week. It was a duo. That's great.
Yay.
We'll
Way
have to
to
duo
over.
again. But thanks again, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We enjoyed bringing it to you. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.